As a new organization, I can assure you that not everyone wished them well. So, let's be frank.
We had to build the credibility again and show people that we were really seeking the interest of our members.
It was important that the voice of the Caribbean was heard, and that we were putting together that 14, 15, 16 countries could come together with one voice and shape international policy.
We had to really brainstorm, how do we bring these dry bones to life?
Will be in Trinidad and Tobago. It is an international organization set up to serve the Caribbean in the telecommunications field. I thought, in view of the question asked in Parliament, it would be a good idea to invite the media to be with me on this visit so that members of Parliament and other people will become aware of the fact that the CTU is in fact in operation.
The advice that I got from the Chief Permanent Secretary in Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Dumas, was he put me to sit down and he said, "Son, you don't know what you're getting into. This is not an easy road you're going to try to ride." And I presume that the CTU is at the stage of being tested, whether it will survive or not survive.
First Secretary General was an interim Secretary General, and that was Mr. Chesterfield Thompson from Barbados, because the governments of the region, they needed a good administrator, a good civil servant, somebody who knows procedures. Then Mr. Ramnarayan became the first appointed Secretary General, and he was there for 4 years. And yes, I worked with him, and that was quite good. Working with Mr. Ramnarayan, we attended meetings together, we planned activities together, we undertook various things together on behalf of the region. He was then replaced by Mr. Roderick Sanaton, and he was replaced on an interim basis by Mr. Winston Ragbear of Trinidad and Tobago. And he spent a few months until a more permanent replacement was found, and that was Mr. Justinian Coppel from the Commonwealth of Dominica. So he was the next Secretary General, and after that we had, I believe, Miss Bernadette Lewis.
When Bernadette indicated to me while she was at Cantor that she was going to apply for this job, I tried to dissuade her. Maybe for some selfish reasons, maybe I didn't want to release her. But I tried to dissuade her. I took her to St. Vincent to a meeting of the CTU to show how the organization operates and what the feeling was. And at that meeting, some of the ministers took the position that CTU was a useless organization, that it should be shut down, it isn't delivering anything. And Bernard left that meeting saying, "This is where the Lord is sending me, and I'm going to put life in those dry bones."
I was the chairman of the ECTEL Council of Ministers, and my other ministers were initially telling me they were going to vote to close the CTU down. Yes, and I sat with them and I said, look, I am thinking of becoming the president of the CTU, and I would like their support. And I think that and they gave me the support. On becoming president of the CTU, my first task was to find a new Secretary General, somebody who really could take up the mantle. And I think there was a tremendous amount of lobbying for different persons, but one individual who really didn't do any lobbying at all, but interviewed so well, I thought was great. And that person was Bernadette Lewis. And we subsequently hired her as a Secretary General, and I worked with her for a substantial period of time after 2002 in terms of revitalizing the CTU and really getting it back on track.
One of the things that we recognized, the reputation of the organization was tarnished. So everything we did, we had to be, do the right thing. We had to deal with members with integrity. We had to demonstrate that we are not playing favorites. We had to be neutral. So a lot of our conduct and the protocols we observed were those of excellence. Yes, and everything we did, it had to be great stuff.
You could transform, as I said, the power is in your hands. Make good use of the tools.
We will come up with a framework for the region, which each...
We now have penetrations of 100 and something mobile phones per 100 people.
Industries and applications such as might exist in the Caribbean.
The main task really was revitalizing the CTU as an organization. And there were great developments taking place around the Caribbean in terms of telecommunications, certainly. We've been able, through the efforts over several years of the small staff here at the Secretariat, to restore, and I would say even grow, the reputation of the CTU in terms of the work that it does. We've been able to convene multiple fora within the Caribbean to deal with specific matters related to telecommunications policy. Spectrum management has certainly been a leading light in terms of the work of successes that we've had. Another big area has been in the area of internet governance.
The CTU initiated the first Internet Governance Forum in the world, ahead of the Global United Nations Internet Governance Forum. We did the first one in the world. We committed to not just do the talk, but also to have projects and implement them. One of which was the establishment of Internet Exchange Points. Now, when we started off, there were no Internet Exchange Points in the Caribbean. I think I've lost count, but there are at least 16 Internet Exchange Points. If I'm not mistaken, there may be 2 in Trinidad and Tobago as a result of the work that we did.
The other thing we did to develop interests and to engage stakeholders, we did, under her leadership, establish a ministerial forum. And this ministerial forum was intended to bring the ministers up to speed on the technologies on what's happening in the field so that they can make more informed policy decisions.
And in celebration of our 20th anniversary in 2009, we launched the Caribbean ICT Roadshow. So we took the roadshow literally on the road to all of our member countries, and there were programs for everybody. We started going out into communities. We went to communities of fisherfolk, of farmers. We had programs for parents, programs for the youth, ICT for people with disabilities. It was really about raising awareness of the transformative power of information and communication technologies.
One of the signature events of the previous Secretary General was an event we called Caribbean Futurescape, which sought to create a space which envisaged what an ICT-enabled Caribbean future is like. And we did that as one of our anniversary celebrations here in Port of Spain, and subsequently in Suriname as well. None of that really would happen without a certain amount of belief in what you're doing. And as I said, faith. So there was a certain faith, a divine faith that was put into all the work that we did. And at the end of the day, or after each and every event, we always tended to look back and reflect on how did we really get this done.
I had a great team. You know, it took a while to build it, but they were an excellent team. And I could not have done it without them.
She is a woman of faith, and I think her faith helped to propel a lot of the successes of the CTU. She was Secretary General for about 17 years before she moved on to the Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization. And we proceeded then to do a recruitment, and we've for the past 2 years we've had Rodney Taylor as the Secretary General.
I worked with the CTU before becoming the Secretary General. I worked as the Business Development and Operations Manager for 4 years. The work that I did was very interesting. The role of the organization was also very interesting, and I fell in love with the CTU and the work that it was doing. When I came to the CTU, I would say that the organization was in a good place. The organization was well respected. There was a good working environment. It was well respected by our stakeholders, the government, by the international community, like the International Telecommunication Union, which is one of our key stakeholders, right? And a positive working environment and very competent and experienced professionals.
So he wasn't a newbie to the work of the CTU when he came, and therefore he certainly had specific ideas of what the potential was and what he wanted to do. And I would say over the past 2 years that he's been Secretary General, he has infused a successful new energy into the organization. And he's also emphasized a lot more on the use of the media, the social media, and basically telling the story of the CTU. So the work has been good, but the story hasn't been told. We're seeing a lot more of that now in terms of raising the profile of the CTU, and the members of the CTU also appreciate that.
There are a lot of positive things in the Caribbean that we have been able to build on. The heads of government approved in 2017 an initiative called a single ICT space, the CARICOM single ICT space. You can think of it as a digital CSME. And What it seeks to do is to harmonize regulation and policy in the field of information and communication technology. And building on that, we were able last year to get agreement by the operators within the region to drastically reduce the cost of roaming because we felt this is one space, this is one unified space. We're going to take that further and seek to harmonize the regulation of information technology throughout the region. We're able to advance a candidate at the International Telecommunications Union last year in Romania, Bucharest, Romania, when the ITU held its plenipotentiary conference where it elects its leadership. We were not successful in that election, but it raised the profile of the Caribbean's participation within that meeting. We had very strong support from our member states, and it shows that we are forced to be reckoned with when we are united. We don't want our showing within the international arena to be a one-off thing. We want a consistent, active participation. We want them to know who we are. We want them to know that we have a vision as well for ourselves and we can contribute globally to developments in technology.
Economic development implies an ability to communicate, an ability to use information technology to sell, to access information, to do everything. And therefore, it is really very important. It is crucial for us as a region to make sure we are on the cutting edge of technology and to remain on that, because without that, we do ourselves a disservice and we keep ourselves back. So the CTU is fundamental in those sets of concerns. It's an important regional institution because it is focused on ensuring that our development, or IT development, or ICT development is in keeping with what we need to have in place to be able to develop along with the rest of the world.
The fact that we can nowadays communicate so easily, it makes it very, I think, how shall I put it, inspiring to know that we have a global reach and a global village rather in terms of communications, and I think this is something that I don't think I envisaged even when I was there in the 1990s. It is very awe-inspiring. You know, we are so lucky to have been on the ground when all of this began, and to see that it is growing. I think that is a CTU can take a real hearty congratulation. It just shows that it was and is the right thing that was being done, that can exist and grow in the way it has. I mean, other organizations may have fallen apart, but that one didn't. So they must have been doing the right thing from the beginning.
The way the CTU has survived and how it has gone on in spite of doubters, there are many reasons why it succeeded. Again, we go back to Chessie Thompson. We needed a solid basis on which to start to plan and to start the organization, and I think we had that solid basis. So fortunately, we had there are several ministers of government who saw the value also, and they provided the necessary support. There was the leadership where one could discuss in the right way what is happening, so that they're able to bring to the attention of the ministers and the different governments what is happening and how the CTU and Caribbean governments should be able to attack those problems. So the leadership has been good. No, there has been one perennial problem there, and that is financing. And quite often it is difficult to get the necessary financing for the organization. And I think some governments have tried to step up, and it is a continuous problem, and it is one that I would like to see resolved, where the CTU gets the necessary funding.
The CTU and the way in which I think not only me as the president, but the way in which my fellow ministers see it, is this cohesive, all-encompassing, directing organization that is there to help this entire region, not just the member states who benefit directly, of course, but the entire region. For the CTU to be able to continue on its mandate, it has to have the support of the member states, it has to have the respect of the member states, it has to be funded. All of those things are necessary ingredients for it to be able to go ahead. But when I sit with my cabinet colleagues and I sit with other ministers, what I try to promote all the time are the benefits that CTU brings. And if you can, and I think if other ministers can, identify, promote, demonstrate the benefits that each member state and the region derives from the CTU, I think providing the resources to it will actually be a no-brainer, as well as ensuring that it maintains the respect that it so richly deserves.
You know, when I did the CTU, I had a logo. Many nations, one destiny. If you focus on that, many nations, one destiny. We all in this together. It's not Jamaica, it's not Barbados, it's not St. Lucia. Not from the political point of view, from the technical point of view, the technicians who has the capability sit down and says, look, we have all these capabilities here. Here's what we can do. So that we can save the cost for inter-island communication, save the cost for tourism industry. So to optimize the Caribbean, there needs to be 34 years, there need to be looking back. Where we came from, where we want to go. As Stalin said, we came from the same place, but where are we going? I am saying in my logo at the time, there's one destiny for us. Either we agree on it or we don't agree. And if we do, we can go somewhere.
My vision for the CTU for the next 5 to 10 years is to continue to build on our successes to ensure that the organization enjoys greater support from our member states and that we continue to be in tune with their needs. That we continue to, and we build on the success in terms of our representation at the international level, that when people hear about the Caribbean, they understand that we are very strong, that we represent a very diverse community, and that we're able to contribute and not just consume technology, but we're able to contribute globally to development of new technology. We build a next generation of young people who are able to take over. From me and from all of the other policymakers, our next generation of ministers, our next generation of global leaders in this ICT space.
We've always been able to consolidate as a team. I think that is our main strength. It isn't a finger pointing or disgruntled set of people working. It is really genuinely a team effort to move the organization forward.
If I had to do it again, I would not do anything differently, because I really believe that the things that we accomplished were as a direct result of guidance from God. The things that people said were impossible, it happened. And it has been my privilege to serve to serve my God, who has given me the privilege to serve the people of the Caribbean. Yeah, and the dry bones live. The dry bones live. Yeah.